Hi there, listener. Thank you so much for tuning into this podcast. Just so you know, this show contains explicit language and some possible adult themes. Listeners under 13 or anyone who could be offended by the subject matter are given caution. Hello, I'm Wesley Van Hoosen, and this is Good Food for Bad Friends. On this podcast, I'll have a different guest every week to talk about their history with food. Along with each episode, you can find recipes inspired by the featured guest on our website, goodfoodbadfriends.com. The second person I met in the house I mentioned in the last episode was Nick McKenzie. I was immediately drawn to him because, well, no offense guys, but he was the hottest one in the house. I know that's not the most appropriate thing to proclaim, but what can I say? He's Italian. Besides that, he and I also clicked because we were both starting to make music seriously during that time. The basement of that house was Derek and Nick's studio. I was a humble guest, allowed to use the equipment. I remember sitting in our very first session and being very intimidated but motivated at the same time. It was a very strange mix of feelings, but I was driven to make something that would prove my worth. I first made a pop record, and Nick was always the first to help me with improving the very shitty demos that I made in my bedroom. He would subtly send me tracks to listen to for inspiration. They were all screenshots of this new thing that was on YouTube, hip-hop beats that run on a 24-hour live feed. It was the birth of the chill hop era, and Nick was a driving force in helping me adapt that sound for myself as a solo artist. It was only after his relentless encouragement, and Derek's as well, that I acquiesced and began loving the sound of it all. As a musician, I'm always looking for a specific variety of people to work with, a person who gels, a person who inspires, and a person who perfects. Nick McKenzie is my perfection king when it comes to making music. He adds things to songs that I never knew the song needed. Something as simple as chimes, or as devoted as a completely new instrument or vocal arrangement. He's got a specific kind of brilliance with the subtle and meaningful parts of his song, the things that make it click with the listener. All in all, he's one of the most motivated and adept musicians I know. On the other side of our relationship is food. Like I said, Nick is Italian, and his history with food is much like you'd imagine an Italian person's would be: pastas, sauces, meats, and red wine. There's a gentle kind of carnality with Italian food, and Nick completely encompasses that. You know how he enjoys something by the expression he gives while he's eating it. He also has Italian grandparents, which isn't totally unlike my faux Italian grandfather who taught me how to cook. My grandfather passed down to me his Italian recipes, and with Nick's approval, my grandfather's recipes qualify as decent Italian food. All of these things aside, Nick is also a great friend, and like the rest of the guys I lived with, I consider him to be one of the big brothers that I never had. Please welcome our next bad friend to the podcast, my good friend, Nick McKenzie. Well, welcome to Good Food for Bad Friends. You are an OG bad friend. You're also one of the first people I met in the group. You were the second person, technically. So it went Matt Harvey and then you.
Yeah, we moved in together 5 years ago.
Isn't that fucking
in the
weird?
house.
That's 5 years ago. It's like, wow,
5 years,
that's...
man.
It's, I don't know. I mean, I look back on those times and I'm like, yeah, we all kind of like pissed each other off sometimes, but
oh yeah, you, me, Aaron, Matt, and Derek.
Oh my god,
we were
us
on
five
each other every day. Yeah,
all the time. But at the same time, when I think about it, it's like I really only have great memories of living there. It's just like the good times.
Yeah.
And you know, I was telling Matt Harvey and I were talking last night about when we all got really fucked up and watched Veggie Tales and went to that like crazy ice cream place. Like times like that.
Dude, then you saw
I poured water on my
foot.
Yeah.
And we were all just looking at it for like 2 to 3 minutes. Like, do we do something? There's
and I just
ice cream on your foot.
A cup of water on myself. It's like, it's
like,
fine.
all right, I think it's time to go.
Yeah. No, or like also just the house for me was really a time when I learned how to cook more than just like cakes. So
Yeah.
I always think of the house as kind of the beginning of when I learned how to really cook for people and learn that dynamic of how it really strengthens bonds. And
I learned how
also all
to
that
be a
stuff,
guinea
yeah.
pig for you.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I was
And
like, I have these guys who will just eat anything I cook, so let's just try it.
and I learned how to gain some weight. I was like, oh,
Oh man,
so 5-10 pounds added.
you know, it's so fun. I feel like anytime like a different living situation happens, it's like the weight kind of resets, and then as you live in a place for a while, it's like you just kind of gain weight. But I don't know, when I move, I lose weight because I think it's just like a new environment. I just moved like 35, 40 boxes of books. Not really. I mean, it's like 10 boxes of fucking heavy books. So maybe that's why I lose weight. But
Yeah, in a way, it is like the freshman 15. But
it
for you and
is,
I,
yeah.
I remember we were moving out of our parents' place, and that was
Yeah.
you and I's first time kind of living away from our parents, not living in college. So we got used to living that life, but that us getting mad at each other, it was almost like a brotherhood that we
really,
were
it really is.
with each other, you know.
Yeah, because that's how I always say it was like growing pain stuff, and it was like learning how to like exist with another person and you know, take other people's needs and stuff into consideration. I mean, it was very eye-opening for me just as a person too, because I really look up to all of you guys as like my big brothers, because I'm the big brother. I don't have any in real life, so but you guys sort of all are kind of my like big brothers in a way, and I totally understand what you're saying. It's a great bond. I mean, you know, and I think with me and you, we have a very like, I think a really special bond because we come from somewhat like intense culinary backgrounds. Like our families like to cook. It's a main part of me, you know, it is family to us in a lot of ways, is food. And also I think, you know, I look up to you a lot as a musician too, just because you really exposed me to hip hop and jazz a lot, and you know, just you know, showing me things here and there that was like kind of steering me in a way that I should be going as a singer. And I always
you exposed me to
that.
the pop side of things and the Whitney Houstons and all that stuff, and it allowed me to not have such a negative connotation towards pop music and understand what I relate to it and what I loved about it, and mix it with my hip hop and my jazz influences at the time. It was almost like a musical boot camp.
A little bit. It really was. Yeah. And I mean, I learned a ton about being a singer from, you know, being in your guys' studio sessions. And, you know, you and Derek really are the kind of like were my mentors in a lot of ways for making music, and also just like seeing things through and, you know, not giving up on a project. I don't know. I always kind of carry that as the main thing, but at the same time, I know that like food played a huge role in the house. That was a huge thing.
I gotta say, my favorite dish that you made during that house was that mac and cheese. Do you remember that you made for my birthday?
I think it was that the pesto mac and cheese that I made, or was that like the crazy?
No, not pesto.
This was the crazy, like, was this the mac and cheese that's literally like a bomb being dropped on you when you eat it? Is it that one?
Yeah, then you pass out a minute later.
Yes, yeah. Oh man, that
you wrote the recipe down for me. I don't know if you remember. You wrote it down for my birthday for me to have. And then I lost.
Oh no! Well, I can give it to you again. It's
But that pesto mac and cheese sounds very delicious.
That one is, you know, I was always on a hunt for a good mac and cheese recipe.
Yeah, I want that real cheese, you know, that pecorino or Parmesan or just something, you know,
something good,
something different, something unique. You know?
I do a lot of different stuff with mac and cheese. The main one though with that recipe is it's like, I think it's just mostly cheddar, but I put Gouda cheese in the middle of it, or provolone, just depending on how I feel. But mac and cheese, that one, that's always like that's like what I make to feed like a mountain of people, because I know that you can't eat a ton of it because it's so rich, but it's like, hey, everyone will have some. Okay, so I know one thing for sure is Italian food with me and you. That is something that I have a vivid memory of kind of like trying to impress you because I was like, I cooked Italian food my whole life growing up, but I never really cooked for Italian food for Italian people. So it was like, well, let's try this recipe. And it was like spaghetti with meatballs. And to me, that's a recipe I always like. That's like a Nick recipe in my book, because it's like he approved of this. So it's an Italian approved recipe. Like,
well, you make great pasta first and foremost, and great sauce. For me, I hold pasta marinara sauce to high standards because my grandma taught from her grandma from Sicily. We would make like the sauce for like 6 to 7 hours in a day. We would make it like a whole entire event. Then we would put the meatballs in there. Then we would put the other meat in there, and it would just be this big event. And she would make a lot of extra sauce so that we can have it to carry over for like just leftovers and stuff. It's what we waited for. We did it for Christmas. The whole family would get together. It just has like a special place. It's like a special memory that I have of my family events, being with my grandma, my great grandma, my uncle, my aunt, my whole Italian family.
Yeah. I think that's super interesting that in your family, it's like pasta marinara is like the main event with meatballs, with meat, and extra sauce all around the table. I can imagine that being like a feast mode meal. But I think it's so interesting that I grew up really never eating pasta. Like,
oh no,
and I don't know if I've ever told you that, because like my parents, were very like not like, they weren't cooks. My dad liked to grill.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no. My mom.
That's interesting. Like, where does it come from you? Like, where does this cook side?
My grandparents. It comes from my grandfather. Okay. My grandfather on my mom's side.
I did not know that.
All those recipes I have now, because I was the one that like learned that. I learned them from him when I was like 7 or 8 years old. And
very interesting.
Yeah, and my mother. I always enjoyed cooking. I always enjoyed being in the kitchen because I always felt that that's where everyone was. Like,
so it's like a social interaction.
Yeah, like if my Aunt Dina came over, she always went to the kitchen first because she would drop all the food off. And I would love it when my Aunt Dina would come over. So the first place I would meet her at would be the kitchen. And just, over the years, I started seeing just the amount of effort people went to on holidays, and, just my grandfather, again, he would do the giant, Italian roast beef with vegetables, and, that was our Christmas meal every year.
Right.
And I was always kind of jealous that someone did all this work, and I was like, wow, we have to sit down and fucking thank this person. Like, it's like, what the fuck? I just want to eat. And then, once I was
and over time, you learn to appreciate it.
Once I wasn't 3 years old and being force fed carrots, I was like, this is actually a great role for someone in a group, because it brings everyone together. And,
so you were drawn to the community side of
food. Yeah. Food
was it ever, to ask you, was it ever creative for you? Like, did you ever go into it like the same way that you would go into making a song? Was it the same way into making a new dish or a new recipe, or would you follow the recipe like line for line?
It's funny because as I get older, I find that I get more and more comfortable going into cooking blind, not having a recipe, not unless it's baking. Baking is, of course, like the one exception, but with just cooking stuff, a lot of times now, I like to go to farmers markets or just even the grocery store and just mill through the produce section and like what's in season, what looks really good, what's not too expensive, especially in the time of, the hospitality industry is imploded. So it's like we have to kind of wait.
Yeah, on the budget. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I guess to answer your question, now I do that. That creative process definitely is there when I cook. But I think for a long time, I really was afraid to view food that way. Because
so it sounds like,
up.
Right. So it sounds like you built a foundation. And with that foundation, it allows you to be flexible with how you make new dishes and stuff. So you don't have to like think about it going in.
No, not well. Cool. I have to think about it, but I don't have to.
Like a little bit.
I don't have to worry about it going in. I can be calm, and I think honestly, cooking for you guys was the start of that becoming comfortable, because I just used you guys as like guinea pigs for everything. It's like, hey, I cooked this giant batch of whatever the fuck this is. Just go ahead and eat it. I made cookies. I remember you guys once sat me down and told me to stop making cookies. You were like, you have to stop. We're all gaining weight.
You baked a lot, man.
I did. And I used to buy like those 25-pound bags of flour from fucking Costco and like
I remember seeing that
through those. Like,
I remember coming back from work and I see that on the kitchen island. I'm like, fuck.
Right, there's so much bread and cookies.
Pass out at 9 p.m.
Oh man, it was great though. I loved doing it. It was always, and I always felt like I was taking care of people, and
right.
you know, that was kind of why I did it. And I knew, you know, no matter who was quarreling with who in the house or who was frustrated with what, I knew that if there was still food around the house, if there was dinner on the table, there would be some semblance of like camaraderie, and we'd kind of just see through the bullshit for 10 minutes. And
you make it sound like it was a war zone.
It wasn't. But I mean, there were times though where it was like, you know, I don't want to say it was bad because it wasn't. But I mean, with any group of 5 people living in a house, five guys, all within the same age range, and you know, pretty much we were all, with the exception of Aaron, we were all bachelors too. We were all single while we were in that house. Well, for the most part at the beginning. At the beginning, we were all single.
Yeah.
But no,
in a suburb neighborhood too, so we weren't close to like the city.
I know. It was,
and
like
we never really went out either.
And if we did, it was like a $27 Uber to get downtown, and it took like God. I remember once we Ubered downtown, and the guy let us like hijack his radio for the entire car ride. And it was
Which time was that? That sounds like every Uber drive.
This guy was really cool. We got it. It was like we got in a giant Escalade. Like it was a huge car because it was like 7 or 8.
Was this for St. Patrick's Day?
Maybe. I remember this was, it might have been because I was there and I didn't usually go out downtown with you guys. But this on a holiday I probably would have went. But
yeah, so it sounds like St. Patrick's Day.
I remember the guy was like, we kind of have a bit of a drive. Do you want to like plug in your phone or something? And we played music, and this guy was like, what the fuck are these guys playing in this car? Like, he knew some of it, and then we got into these weird like deep track hip hop. Like, it was like getting weird for a while. Like,
talking about like the oppression of society. He's like, oh man, okay, I regret giving you this aux cord.
Yeah, it's like, I am never giving an aux cord away again. But no.
We had some good times. Something about your approach to making a dish.
Oh, you were just like the creativity, creativity side of it. I definitely think that spices are a great window for food creativity.
So for me as a beginner of making food, I'm just getting into cooking. What would you say is like a foundation or a way that I could look at spices to put on, like, let's say meat, like chicken, steak?
Oh yeah, for
beef,
sure.
All that. What would you suggest?
Gosh, I mean, I think it's important to note that chicken, like things like white meat, like chicken or pork, I consider pork white meat because it turns white when it cooks. So, like, I don't know if people call it red meat, but I always thought pork was white meat. But any kind of white meat or fish is going to take any flavor that you put to it. Like, so with chicken, I particularly, though, really like Tex-Mex chicken or jerk chicken. So a lot of like rubs, a lot of like seasoning, and a lot of high flavor, a lot of salt, you know. But I think for a beginner, I mean, you can't really beat salt, pepper, and garlic powder. That is like,
that's what I'm told.
Quintessential seasoning. And I always put a little onion powder in too, because I think garlic powder is a little bit, well, when it cooks on chicken, all you can really taste is sort of the back end of the garlic, and putting onion powder on it sort of zings it back up a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Or, I mean, Old Bay is great too, and that's like that's poultry seasoning and seafood seasoning from the Northeast, but that's great on chicken. I always like doing oh shit, I'm trying to think. Oh, like lemon and chicken is really good too. That's another one that's super easy to do.
Been testing that out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the way I would do it is honestly just like marinate. If you want to marinate chicken, I would just cut a lemon into like really thin slices and then just toss that in with your marinade and let that sit in the fridge. And obviously don't eat the lemon pieces because that's going to be gnarly. I would though, because I really like cooked lemon rind. I think it's like really bitter and delicious. But yeah, with beef.
What about fish?
Fish?
I guess I don't eat beef that much, but I've been going back and forth between chicken, steak, and fish. Salmon.
Sure. Fish, I'm very partial to Asian flavors with fish. So lots of like that may ploy sauce that you buy. That it's like the syrupy red one. That's great on chicken. I should say that because you made that for me, and I make it all the fucking time. That's like.
Well, shout out to my grandmother.
That is so fucking good.
On my stepdad's side of the family, my Japanese grandmother.
Yeah, that shit.
Taught me how to make that. Yeah.
It's just the may ploy just literally brushed on the chicken and then baked. It's so good. And then it comes out like sticky and kind of crispy. Oh man. Fuck me sideways. It's good. But for fish, back to what you asked, I say Asian stuff. Soy sauce. I always like soy sauce with maybe like just wasabi. That's like I love that kind of stuff.
So you lean towards like Japanese seasoning.
Japanese seasonings, yeah. And I always add fish to like ramen or trying to think what else. Rice. With rice, I'll do some Tex-Mex. Sometimes I do curry with fish. I think fish is a great curry thing because if
I've never tried curry before with fish.
It's a good for it. I think just because if you have fish that's like more quantitative rather than qualitative, if you know what I mean. Like you get a lot of it, but it may not be the best tasting fish. Like cod. I'm not really a fan of cod, but you get a fuckload of it when you eat it. You know, in curry though, there's so much flavor going on. It hides it a little bit. It kind of hides that fishiness. So I'd say curry is great for fish. It really depends because I love shellfish. I love all seafood. So and I love Italian like mussels and white wine with like, or mussels and linguine with marinara.
So kind of like a zuppa di mare?
Yes. Kind of like that. Yeah. So God, fuck, it's so good. I don't know. It's Italians and any Italian kind of shellfish, I am 100% down for.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like it's just, it can't be beat. And someday when, we're allowed to leave our bubbles, I definitely want to go to Italy at some point. That's a total.
Well, I'm sure you've been during this little COVID event, you've been making a lot of good recipes.
I've been practicing
some good stuff out. Yeah.
I've been practicing a lot of recipes, a lot of stuff that I pulled out of magazines that I never got to. And so I'll try it. And Dylan's been cooking quite a bit too, so that's nice.
Oh, good. Yeah.
I don't have to do all of it, but it's also weird because we try to do like a dinner that with the two of us, like at least once or twice a week. We were gonna do it tonight, but I was like, oh fuck, I can't. I'm recording. So tomorrow night we're doing breakfast for dinner. That's like our week's dinner. But
what are you guys making? Give me some ideas.
Probably pancakes if it's breakfast for dinner, and it's my idea of breakfast for dinner because he likes waffles, but I'm a pancake whore. So pancakes, bacon.
You are a pancake whore.
I love
the moment you stepped in that house. It's like this guy's a big pancake whore.
I went to the International House of Pancakes once, and I got an STD. No, I don't know. And now I got a pancake STD, and now
I heard about you. Oh my gosh! give me the normal medication.
Ounce of Mrs. Butterworth's every day.
You should keep that.
I'm gonna keep that. Actually, that might be the title of our episode because I take stupid quotes from the episode and make that the title. So an ounce of butter, Mrs. Butterworth every day. But anyway, what was we were talking about breakfast or dinner. Yeah, we were pretty basic. Bacon, pancakes, eggs, maybe some hash browns. I do tend to make like hash browns with bacon fat and rosemary. And
are you good with eggs? Like omelets? Sunny side?
Not omelets. Oh, I suck at omelet. If you ask me to make an omelet, I'll literally end up either with all of the egg on myself or you're just gonna get a scramble. Because I'm gonna try. It's like here's your scramble. It's got cheese and ham in it. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Like,
The thing is, you have one moment to flip it
Yeah.
over. You know, the timing has to be on point.
It doesn't help too that there's really no like tried and true system, I feel like, with omelets, unless you're a chef. But like in Julia Child's cookbook, the omelet, how to make an omelet, is 12 fucking pages long. 12 pages of how to correctly make a French style omelet.
I watched a 30-second video on YouTube and I thought that was it.
I'm just like, I don't know. I think with eggs too, I get intimidated by it, and I never know like what the heat is really supposed to be. That's like the one thing I suck at. I usually cook eggs over medium, so I just get out like that little, like the little teeny tiny frying pan that comes with. Yeah. It's like, yeah,
hey,
you have to
guy,
be.
Let me.
You have to be really careful to like not let it actually fall through onto the fire because it's like so small. But yeah, I like eggs over medium. I'll do that. And scrambled eggs I love too. But I'd say I'm like a 75% competent cook with eggs. Yeah.
So new question. What is your eating routine right now? Do you just mix in recipes every night, every other night? Are you trying to stay healthy? Are you on a diet? And
I mean, I think I've been on a diet since I was 15 years old. So it's always, I've always been on a diet. No, I mean, right now, I think a big part of it, especially with pandemic, is just making sure that you're getting a good balance of food that's good for you, but also food you like to sort of divulge in. And so I've been eating like my regular meals every day, or just like I'll have salads every now and again. I'll have like a sandwich. It's a lot of like just small stuff you can make at home that's not too expensive, not too doesn't take forever. Although I think we made pizza tonight because we bought a pizza. But yeah, that's the other thing too. You know, in a time like this when there is a lot of world uncertainty and the sort of rug gets pulled out from under us every 10 minutes, it's nice to be able to know, like, okay, if I really have a very frustrating time with something, there's a chocolate bar that I've hidden in the freezer and it's there when I need it, but it's not right now.
Yeah, you need comfort food, you know.
Yeah.
You can't be so disciplined that you're kind of torturing yourself during this time. You need like a form of outlet, and food, just having the taste buds, just to have a little orgasm in your mouth.
Literally, it's really what it is. It's so metaphysical to have something you enjoy. Today, I went to Starbucks for the first time in months, and I got the pumpkin. Just don't kill me. I got a pumpkin spice cold brew foam, whatever the fuck it's called. It's like a pumpkin foam that sits on cold brew. A pumpkin spice latte.
Sugar-free vanilla, please. Thank you very much,
I want 18 pumps of the sugar-free vanilla. Dude, I used to work where there was a Starbucks. Like, there was a Starbucks in the hotel, and that, oh my God. Some of the orders, some people would get like, I want a latte with 15 pumps of hazelnut, and you're like that's what? Like, 15 pumps.
Karen, you got to get out of here, man.
And she'd order, it'd be like it would be like a grande. I'm like, that's half the damn cup. I'm like, that can't. Yeah. But anyway, I got this pumpkin cold brew foam latte, whatever the fuck it is. But it was one of those things where I was like, God damn, I needed this. This is so good. And it's like I haven't gotten like takeaway coffee in so long. Because I don't live in walking distance.
Have you been making coffee yourself?
Every day, yeah, every day. And now I'm on the verge of wanting to buy an espresso maker because I miss espresso drinks. Like, I don't know. I miss cappuccino.
You know, I've never had a espresso drink before.
Really?
You know, when we lived together, I never drank coffee. I don't know if you remember.
I did know that because I was like, what? Like, how do you work? Like, I feel like, go ahead. Sorry. I was very surprised. Yeah.
But since I moved in with my current girlfriend, Quest, coffee every single day now. And I'm like, how have I been waking up this entire time?
Drip coffee or French
cold brew?
Just cold brew. Oh, I love cold brew.
I love cold brew. So I go to Starbucks almost every other day.
It's addictive, but
I'm trying to balance it out with like every other day do coffee, then maybe have like some green tea to break it off, so I'm not so I build like a healthy tolerance.
Yeah.
To
it's
it.
tough for me because I've drank coffee since I was 17 years old because I wasn't allowed to drink coffee as a kid. My parents didn't let me drink coffee, and I moved out when I was 17, and I lived with my best friend right before I started college, and he used to drink like 6 or 7 cups of coffee a day. Like the coffee maker was always on. I'm exaggerating. I feel like it was that much. He's probably going to listen to this and be like, "Fuck you, Wesley. It was so not that much." But he drank a lot of coffee, and in college, it's like in the library for free. It's like everywhere, and everyone gets Starbucks, and so I was just like, okay, I guess that I'll try it. And ever since then, I also tried it in the dead of fucking winter. So it was cold out. So it's freezing fucking cold out. And there's nothing like a hot cup of, I used to drink it black too. I don't do that now. I have to have something in it.
See, I haven't got into hot coffee.
Oh, I love hot coffee.
No, I'm nervous to get into it, because I feel like I'm addicted to cold brew right now.
Right. Well, cold brew is I think cold brew tastes better because I think it's steeped like tea almost, so it's a little bit more intense. But I would say if you do want to if you try to drink hot coffee, literally wait until like a cold fucking day, like 10 degrees outside, and then just get a hot coffee and see if that coaxes you. Because if you don't like hot coffee on a cold day, you'll never like hot coffee.
Okay, I should have tried it 3 days ago. It dropped 70 degrees.
Whoa! And oh my god,
in Colorado, and it was snowing. September 8th.
In Lincoln, it did that. It dropped 50 in Lincoln. I think it's because of that. Yeah. So a lot of the weather patterns that happen in Colorado, that sweeps out to the east, and it goes over Nebraska. So all of that cool weather stuff came over, and in Nebraska it went from 93 to like 50.
What?
Yeah, or something fucking insane like that. We got a little. It dropped here too. It went from like 85, 90 to like 60. And it's been in the 60s it's been in the 60s and raining all week in Chicago, and it's
sounds like Chicago weather.
Yeah, it is. It's Chicago in the fall. Like, put on your raincoat and pray to God you don't fall into a manhole.
Yeah. Once winter comes, I'm gonna try. I'll try hot coffee. I'll reach out to you.
Yeah. For sure. It's definitely my dad was the same way. My dad always tells me he never drank coffee until he went to college in Minneapolis. And so it was.
He was from Nebraska?
Actually, my dad was from Illinois. He's from Champaign, Urbana. My whole dad's side was from there, and then they. I can say this now because my grandparents are dead. God bless them. My grandfather was sleeping with someone on his mail route, and the Postal Service blackmailed him. They were like, either we expose you and we tell your whole family, or you get out of town. And so he quit his job and took up a job at the telephone company in Lincoln, Nebraska, where I'm from. So that's why we're not from Illinois. Yeah. That's a story. I don't know if I've ever told you that story.
Tell me a little bit more.
So like my grandparents were they were married after my granddad served in Korea. I think he served in Korea. And so they were like it was like a relationship by mail, pretty much. And she was just going to marry him when he came back. That was the plan. That's just kind of how it was. It was like 1950, 1951. And that was just the culture. And they were married until, my grandfather died in 2006. But it was a rocky marriage, and they never showed it to the grandkids. But once they both passed away, we learned all the secrets. Right. And the big one was that that was the question. Why did they move from Illinois? And it's like, well, to answer your question, yeah, my dad was from Illinois, but coffee, we're talking about coffee. So my dad went to Minneapolis. He's like, the first winter I spent there, when it gets to like -30, -40 wind chill, like cold as shit in Minneapolis, he had hot coffee, and he's like, that was it. He's like, that was the one thing that was like soothing for that bitter cold.
And you have to think about you're not getting as much sunlight as well.
Yeah.
So when it's dark out, I feel tired just by seeing the dark.
Oh, totally. It's
I
take so much vitamin D during the winter time. It's like I think my
yeah, you probably do take the vitamin D.
Shut up. I take all sorts of vitamins. Vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin C, vitamin F.
What's vitamin F? Well, if you have to ask, you probably can't afford it. What type of rice do you usually eat?
Rice. Okay, we can talk about this for sure because we both have Japanese heritage in our families.
Well, I'm not personally Japanese, but I'm
I mean,
I
count you because you're very knowledgeable about the type of things you're supposed to use in Japanese food, which is always. I think you are. I mean, more so than most guys I know.
I'm not that good with food, but with Japanese food, my grandma always stressed to me like she grew up and was raised in Japanese in a small island of like 1,000 people on the coast, and she said that her family never had much, but she would always use that money, no matter small amount that she had, to buy high quality rice, because the priority of rice for her and her family and most people in Japan was up there. They don't want the cheap stuff.
I totally grew up with that too. My mother would always buy Botan. That was like the brand, or
I wish I could like remember the brand. She would take me to this Japanese store like out west of Melrose Park.
Mitsuya in Arlington Heights. I
Yeah,
fucking love that place.
No shit. I want to know if you knew about that because you're from Nebraska.
My aunt Dina and my mom and I went there when they visited last year, and our minds were fucking blown. We spent 2 hours in that store.
It's so big.
Well, I spent an ungodly amount of time in the paper and craft store that's off the entrance, like where you buy all the anime and the manga, and there's like pens and washi tape, origami paper, waifu.
I never stepped you. Your Japanese was shown, Leslie.
No, I love Mitsuya. That place is fucking amazing.
Oh yeah, and the rice there is. The seafood is so incredible,
dude.
She always get this octopus. Where at?
H Mart. Have you ever been to H Mart? It's in kind of the West Loop. There's more, I think, around.
No, I've actually never heard of that.
Huh? It's kind of like a Korean type Asian store, but they have like a fresh fish butcher there where you literally pick out the squid you'd like, and I'll cut it up for you. But yeah, no, I love that. I love seeing that quality of seafood because I feel like seafood gets such a bad rap all the time because of canned seafood and people getting sick.
It's tough because we live in the Midwest. We don't live on the East or West Coast, so we're not going to get the best seafood. So everything.
No, the freshest seafood I've had is catfish in the Midwest. That's because I caught it. But and that was like in Nebraska.
That's a very Nebraska thing. Wesley.
It is. Oh yeah, but no, I think. That's one thing I would totally move to a coast for is probably the Northeast is for the seafood. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fuck, I love it. But with rice, to answer your question, you did ask what kind of rice I like, and I don't like just okay. I have different. It's like different for everything. I usually would just eat brown rice as like what I pick for everything. Like just a generic, like if I'm having chicken or just a bowl of rice with something, or like Chipotle, I'll always pick brown. I think it's got a very kind of like it almost tastes like pasta in a way. It's got this sort of like nutty flavor, but it isn't so gummy. It has some texture to it. And it's really filling too.
So you're not a fan of white rice?
Well, no. So that's the brown rice I choose also because it's healthier. Because white rice is really starchy, and I also there's other reasons too. So brown rice is what I pick. It like hands down if I'm out just any random place getting rice. White rice though I always get with specifically Chinese food. I will only eat it with white rice. I don't like fried rice very much. So,
can see
but
that.
I like white rice. I mean, of course, on sushi.
Is
And
it because
that's
of the
sushi rice
spiciness? Is why you choose
of
white rice of Chinese food?
I think I just like the sort of blandness of it because you've got
Oh, okay.
so much, salt
I
and
guess, yeah, like
flavor in
flavors
Chinese
like
food.
dripping into the white rice,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
When you
and
mix it all up. Yeah.
exactly, yeah. And I love white rice because it takes on the flavor. You don't really taste that it's rice, but it just works with everything in that category. But yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if I'm a fan of brown rice or not because I haven't tried it that much. But
It's
if you say it's good, I heard it's healthier for you
yeah,
than
that's
white
the
rice.
main reason because I eat a lot. We eat a lot of rice, and
Mhm.
I do like basmati rice though, and like the Indian rices and the kind of like Southeast Asian rices. Jasmine rice is great too, especially with
Jasmine's
Indian
good
food.
rice,
I
yeah.
mean, it's those go great with curries because they have an almost like I think they have an almost like floral taste to them. Maybe I'm
Yeah?
just weird. I think jasmine and basmati rice have this sort of like flowery taste.
Okay.
It's not like white rice where it's starch or brown rice where it's earthy. It's just got it's I don't know. I don't know if I'm just like maybe that's just because it's that was something in the sauce, but by smell too, I can always tell when someone's cooking like a long grain wild rice or like a
Mhm.
basmati. It doesn't smell like white rice. White rice to me, I don't know. I also just don't like white rice because I grew up. That's all we ate was Botan white rice. Like,
Mhm.
and it was my
Was
mom.
that your mom
That was
making
my
the
mom.
rice?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and she'd get out the little aroma rice cooker, the little white, pop up.
Yep.
That's what I have. The exact same
That's what my
one.
grandmother had too, and she brought me
Yeah,
one the moment that I
yeah,
left to come out to live with you. Do you
yeah.
remember
It's
that? I
like
had that for a little bit.
yeah, we had two rice cookers, and then Aaron
Mm-hmm.
bought a rice cooker when I lived with him, and I was like, "Why did you buy a rice cooker? I already have a
Because I have
rice
one right
cooker."
here.
Yeah, well,
Classic
yeah,
Aaron.
no, we used that thing all the time growing up, and with white rice though, you have to wash the starch off of it. So our task in the kitchen was sitting with
Yeah.
the spray hose on the sink and spraying
Yeah.
off all the starch. And to
Yep.
me,
Same. Yep.
oh, I hated it. It's like, God,
I
why?
actually enjoyed it.
Oh, it was not fun for me at all because my mother was like, if it's not clear, don't even give it to me. Like she was like, it
So she
has
was
to
a
be
little.
clear. She's
She was
very,
Nazi
very
about it.
specific. Yeah. But I mean, God bless her because I mean, that's how her mother taught her. So
Hmm.
that's totally a family thing. And I'm the same way when I cook
Where's
white rice.
Where's your grandmother from?
Well, my
Is she from
grandmother,
Japan or?
yeah, she was from Japan. She was near Nagasaki. So my grandmother, her name was Tsumako Matsunaga, and she lived near Nagasaki. And she married my grandfather when he was stationed in Japan. And
Yeah,
then
that's the same exact story as my
yeah,
grandmother and my grandpa. That's hilarious.
and then they moved around the world for a little bit while my granddad kept getting restationed, and then they finally kind of like put him, not like retired him, but he'd done his service at that point, so he moved to Nebraska,
Mm.
and because he grew up in Lincoln, he went to my high school, so that was his hometown, really. So yeah, and then my aunt and my mom were little kids when they moved to the United States. I think they each spent a year. They were each born in Germany, and then they spent a year in Japan, and then they moved to California, like the Redwoods, for a year, and then
Hmm.
they moved to Nebraska, and that's where they stayed. So, but my grandmother was, full Japanese and kind of got plucked out of her. She lived really, I think, in like farm area too, not so much a city. It was kind of just like a farming village. Her family has money, had money.
Yeah.
They're a very well known group of people in Japan, a very well known family, lots of wealth and esteem
Okay.
for sure.
So they lived outside. Did they live in the city, or they lived a little bit outside of the city, and then they saw the
Outside,
blast?
yeah, they lived
Man,
outside
that's
of it.
wild.
And it just makes you think of the scope because they lived far enough away that they weren't directly affected by it. But my
Right.
great uncle died of thyroid cancer, which is very, that's heavily attributed to radiation poisoning. And my grandmother died of she struggled with cancer, and then she passed away when my mom was 15, and she had, I want to say it was breast cancer and then lung cancer, but either way,
would you say that's related to the blast?
We think so, because you can never be sure, and if her brother was affected by it, there had to have been, and they were in the same place. It had to have affected her somehow, and
like indirectly over time.
Yeah,
like
over
even,
time.
Maybe even in the food.
Yeah. Totally, in the food, in the soil.
Yeah, exactly. The soil is going to be affected throughout the entire
nuclear stuff is fucking crazy on the what it does to the world. I don't know. I just read a whole book about it, and it's like, shit. Yeah, it's like talking about when nuclear power plants shut down and they have to nuclear power pants, power up your pants. Nuclear. Sorry, I just said it wrong.
Power pants.
When
power
nuclear
pants.
Power plants.
These are the bomb.
That's a good one. Oh man. If people were to disappear and no one could regulate a power plant like a nuclear one, basically it would that area of whatever Houston, Texas would be like a radiation sodden land for millions of years. It would not go away for a long time because all those chemicals.
Like it's no joke.
It isn't, and it's just crazy to think of what we've come up with in our existence and what that will permanently do. And I don't know, it's crazy. But so yeah, my grandmother grew up in Japan, and she emigrated to the United States, and my mother and my aunt had a very strong Japanese style upbringing, I would say. I mean, they have the pictures
how
of
would
them.
You describe that? What do you mean by that?
They have pictures of them in matching kimonos when they're little girls,
with flowers in the background.
Yeah, and they're holding the little things. And my mother and my aunt both learned how to roll sushi from a really young age. A lot of the cooking they learned didn't so much come from my grandfather, from my mom. It came from her mother. So my mom's cooking is really reflective of that kind of Japanese, knowing how to use Japanese Asian style ingredients quickly. That's her expertise. Nice. So, I just think it's interesting that they really were a very mixed culture household with Japanese culture. And we had that too growing up. That was totally an influence for my brother and I too.
So I'm going to guess that you're well versed with the chopsticks.
Actually, it's funny. I didn't really learn how to use chopsticks till I was 21 years old. I was so bad at it. My mother forced me to learn when I was, because I think I had just left college, and we went out to dinner and ate sushi, and she saw me kind of fiddling with it and using. She's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" She didn't say that in her resume. She's like, "How do you?" She's like, "How are you my son and you don't know how to use chopsticks?" So I learned from her. And I'm still not very good at it, but
how did she teach you? Karate
she told me to put my hand out, and she would it's like teaching a kid how to hold a pencil. She would move my fingers to where they were supposed to be, and I'm like, I'm not a child. You can describe it to me. It's no, this goes there.
This right here. Put it in between the palm of your fingers.
Yeah. No, I do though. I do love chopsticks. I like collecting chopsticks. If I met a cool.
Oh, you like collecting chopsticks, but you're not good at it.
I'm not good at it. I always go to if I'm in a different city that has a different a Chinatown, I'll usually try to find a chopstick shop or just a weird kitchenware shop that has cool chopsticks. I love collecting them because I feel like they're a really useful tool for cooking because it's just a little stick. It's sometimes you just need a little stick to mix things up, or I like using chopsticks to stir things.
I guess I could see that because you could be more precise in what you move and touch.
It's kind of
a big wooden spoon.
Yeah, it's like having a little mini whisk in a way. But there is a difference in chopsticks though. Japanese chopsticks are thinner than Chinese or Asian chopsticks.
I didn't know
chopsticks. Yeah,
you know why?
I think it's because the food in Japan is more delicate, and that may be totally wrong, but I think it's because the food is not.
Be pretentious with it.
A little bit. I don't know.
Let's do it.
That's what I was told.
Japanese food is a lot more delicate than these Chinese neighbors.
But I mean, with Chinese food, there's a lot of thicker noodles, lots of different kinds of rice. It's not all just it's starchier, and I think with Japanese food too, not all of it is really meant for chopsticks. I think really only like noodles are what I would use chopsticks for, because I definitely don't use them for sushi. I use my fingers for sushi, so which is what you're supposed to do.
Is it really?
It's widely accepted. Yeah, if you use your fingers to eat sushi,
you're not in Japan and in Asia.
That is what I'm told. In a lot of books I've read, a lot of people describe like cooked sushi. So like cooked fried food, maybe fried sushi, or just like not raw nigiri is you can eat it with your fingers, and it's not too terribly unacceptable. I don't know. I do it anyway.
I'm used to using the chopsticks on my sushi.
I drop it, so I'd rather use my hands. But but yeah, no, it's Japanese food definitely played a huge part of like growing up eating. Did it for you? Were there like certain foods that your family would make Japanese that was kind of like a big staple?
My grandma wasn't big on making these like grand dishes for us, but she would stress having rice with every dish that we would have. And then we would always have appetizers of like dumplings and stuff like that. Yeah.
My mother
she would make a killer mix of soy sauce too. I never asked her how she did it, but
soy sauce is key. Fish sauce is another really necessary one for Asian food. I feel like that's more Southeast Asian, and it's funny. All the guys in the house. So like for everyone listening, whoever you are, the people who lived in the house at McAlpin was me, Nick, Derek, Matt Harvey, and Aaron. And I don't know about you, Nick, but those three guys are obsessed with like Thai food, Indian food, like Southeast Asian food. And do you share that love with them, or is that just like an anomaly of those three?
I think it's just those three.
Okay. I was like, because I've never seen you. Derek's always like, let's go get Thai food. And you're like, can we just go get like pizza? Like,
for me, I just zone it out, and I just, like so what you said, like I'll get pizza,
Yeah. I think one time you and we were doing like a late night in the old studio back at Damon, and Derek ordered Thai food, and he was like, do you guys want any? I mean, we can all get Thai food. And you and I were like, we're going to go to the pizza place and go get pizza. Like we were like, we don't want Thai food. I'll be shitting my pants all night. Like
that's the issue. The spices have me shitting my pants.
It's like in a small studio with like three guys who have just eaten Thai food. Kill me.
I'm not trying to create a chamber of certain toxic
poisonous farts. The firemen break down. They're all dead.
What happened?
Oh man. Oh goodness. Are there like? So I want to know just a little bit about like what you cook, because I think you definitely are a risk taker when you cook, and I love that because you tend to make stuff that you're like, I don't know if this is gonna work, but it looks in theory like it's gonna be fucking good. And it usually is, because we were talking last night about your bacon wrapped Brussels sprouts that you make at Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah.
And we were like, and they were like, he just came up with that. And we were like, they're fucking good, like and that's like cool.
For risk taking, it's on occasion. I'm pretty boring when it comes to food. It's usually chicken, beef, and fish mixed with vegetables, and that's it in rotation over and over and over again.
Right.
Just because of the diet that I'm on.
Yeah.
But so it's like how can I make this chicken taste a little bit more different so I'm not eating the same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's why I asked you the question earlier. Like, how can I change up how I eat my food? Like, how can I season things in a different way so that it, like, I don't know,
for sure,
satisfies a different taste bud.
Yeah, I don't know how well I answered that question for you, but if I guess I had to give a short answer that was like a better answer, it would be like, just like go throughout your like the spice aisle at the grocery store. See, like, you know, there's so many different spice blends that are made. There's so many things that, you know, go well, especially with chicken, with different herbs and things go well. Like the Italian herbs always go great on chicken. So like rosemary, thyme, parsley, and sage. But I mean, just stuff like that. And also just remembering salt. That's another big one. Just remembering to salt your food enough that it has flavor, but not so much that it's bad for you.
I got a question for you. Do you ever put salt on your salad?
No.
So my girlfriend Quest, she's been doing that. And I never put onions on my salad either. She's been putting salt and onions in my salad. And it actually tastes pretty good.
I understand the salt because you're eating a lot of probably normally bland things in a salad, like lettuce is like a main component, but that doesn't usually have a ton of flavor. The one thing I would worry about is you'd have to eat it quickly because salt will start to leach the water out of the lettuce and it'll start to wilt it if it's sat for too long. Okay. But that's, at least I think that will happen. That's what's happened. That's like what happens when you that's like how you cure things or pickle things. But maybe I don't know. I think that would be really good, especially if you use like a sea salt, like a really briny salt. It would kind of add like a seawater salt taste to it. And I bet that would be good because I mean, I put really like you know, I like putting salty croutons and stuff into a salad, or you know,
not a fan of croutons.
Really? Oh, I mean, some people really aren't. I'm a crouton whore. I fucking eat so many croutons.
You dirty crouton whore, you.
You dirty crouton whore.
You whore.
You're corrupting the Caesar salad. No, I love Parmesan cheese though on a salad is great, and that's really salty. That's a nice. I love Parmesan.
I actually never thought of that. That would be a good mix.
Do you like cheese, right?
I'm a fan of the cheese, you know.
Yeah, you like Parmesan though too, because that's a pretty.
I like Parmesan. I never dived too much into cheese until recently.
Got it. Okay.
Since I moved in with my girlfriend.
I love Parmesan for its saltiness because it's got like little crystallized pieces of salt in it, which is great. So it's a great cheese for a salad, but.
To go back to your question, I actually don't feel like I'm a big risk taker when it comes to making different type of foods. I like to be boring because I know that I'm going to be healthy with the result.
Sure.
But my girlfriend has been, I don't know, countering that belief and saying like, you can still eat, you can taste things in like a new way. You can still have good food. You can still have good meals and still maintain this healthiness. So I'm kind of, since I moved to Colorado 5 months ago, I've been on a new journey of just exploring different ways of cooking what I normally cook, but in a different fashion.
I think
it's a little bit better, you know?
I'm still going to think though that you're a risk taker as far as feeding the group. I'll say that because you definitely, when you want to cook something for all of us, it's definitely a showstopper type of dish.
Yeah.
It's like, it's balls to the wall. So like, you know, and I love that though, because I think that's a great way to just be like, yeah, I made this, no big fucking deal, but it's fucking good. Like, but I'm glad though that you're exploring, you know, different stuff for food and, you know, just kind of the journey of food I think is honestly never ending because as we, you know, get older, we crave different things and we discover new things, but I don't know. I do appreciate though that you're someone that does meal prepping because I think that's a very unrecognized culture of food in a way that a lot of people think it's a lot of people, like a lot of foodies in particular, I feel like may think that it's high maintenance and that you're sort of depriving yourself from enjoying it. But at the same time, I feel like, you know, I feel like you don't view it that way. You don't view it with like a contentious, like, oh, I hate that I have to do this because of this. I feel like that's just a part of your life. It's just like, this is how I eat. And
well,
you know,
I actually don't meal prep anymore, but back then when I used to meal prep, I would make a event out of it.
Yeah.
You know, so on Sundays, every Sunday I would find like a record that I would want to play, put the record on, have a glass of wine, and just
Yeah.
get going. And it would be almost like a dance. It'd be like,
Yeah. I love that.
I would get into a groove as I would make all this food. It would take 2.5 hours, but how I would see it is like, I spend 2.5 hours of making all this food,
Mm-hmm.
and then I don't have to make lunch and sometimes dinner throughout the week. So I'm
For
saving this
sure.
time. So I'm able to do these other things while maintaining a healthy.
Yeah, and it's also it's a ritual. It's like a good ritual for you to have or have had at that time, because it's like you make it time. It's not a chore. This is like a personal time where I have time to myself. I'm going to enjoy it, but I'm also going to get this thing done that, lets me have more time to be productive throughout the rest of the week. And so I think that's a great way of viewing something that I feel like a lot of people really sort of view negatively, or view as something that they could never do. But I didn't know you weren't meal prepping anymore, though. Just kind of.
Nope. Because now that I'm with my girlfriend, it's that dance is with her now.
Sure, yeah.
So and I like to have that dance every night with her.
Yeah,
because
that's great.
We work all day. Then it's time to pour a glass of wine, get the food, prep it. You do this, I do that. I'll cut up the peppers. You start seasoning the chicken. I'll put it on the grill. That whole fun dance.
Yeah, that's great though, and that's again, it's exactly why I think we all love food as much as we do, and it's just that constant capability of building upon itself with someone, and it's a part of a relationship that I feel like really is tangible, and something that I cherish a lot with everyone, because I have a different food relationship kind of with everyone in the group. It's different, but I love though that you make time for that to be something between you and your significant other that's not a rushed gotta get it done, doesn't matter what it is thing, and that you make time to have it be a meaningful meal and stuff like that. That's so important.
It's the best part of the day.
I love that. That's so awesome. I love that,
especially during COVID, because
yeah,
we're used to like going out, maybe going to a bar, maybe dancing here and there, and since we can't, we're stuck in our bubble, as you said. Now the dance is within this bubble that you make.
Yeah,
so it's like it's what you make of it.
Yeah, I think that's great too, and especially it's one of those things I think that's funny is that or maybe not funny, but in a weird way ironic, is that a lot of people with when COVID happened, a lot of people I know had to learn how to cook, because they just didn't. They never really did it before. Oh man, he can make cheesy potatoes. It's fine. No, but like
it has cheese on it. If there's no cheese, I don't think you can make it.
Oh, Derek, poor Derek's colon. But I mean, like, like with that though, I think it's been a very awakening time for home cooks, because all of a sudden everyone had to learn that skill, and it's so funny to it's funny to me because I'm kind of like, well, this is something that I've done for a long time, and I kind of see people just sheer panic over it, and I'm like, it's gonna be okay, like it's not it's not the end, man. But it is frustrating though to have to learn that skill, and I think I think what you're saying is a great inspiration for anyone listening who is afraid of getting in the kitchen and learning how to cook foods, learning how to use knives. That was my big fear when I started.
Yeah, learning how to properly cut vegetables.
Yeah, I mean, I think
meat,
oh my God, I think what you're saying is just a great point, that if you make it something that, if you turn it into something that you can take pleasure out of, or just enjoy, make it you time, make it time for you and your, partner, whomever. I think that's a great way to motivate people to cook. And that's not like, overbearing, this recipe makes 7-8 servings. How do I do it? Cooking with, just kind of like seeing what's out there, cooking it with someone, seeing if you like it. Sometimes it might not be good. That's okay. But,
it's fine. It's an experiment. You evolve what you're making at the end of the day.
Exactly.
And going back to what you said at the beginning, it's about community. It's about just that human connection. And since human connection in a way is lacking these days because of COVID, we can't connect with each other as much. I haven't seen you since March. So if you have the opportunity to cook food with your partner, that's just one way to open up that human connection without thinking about your work, without thinking about all the stresses of life. It's just that moment where like time stands still in the kitchen,
For sure. And I think, to kind of like wrap that up, I feel like when all this is over and, when we're out of this, pandemic and everything, I feel like food is going to be so important to everyone because it's going to be the mode we all come around to celebrate it.
Of course. Yeah.
And so I definitely look forward to that when we can have people over again and have a party. It's
Friendsgiving.
just
I miss
Friendsgiving. Oh man, I'm so bummed that this year's going to be like kind of a wash on it. I really feel like we're not going to be able to do it.
But we have to do like a Zoom call or a Skype call with everybody.
So I'm going to ask you one question that I've asked everyone in the group, and it's the clickbait question before I let you go, because I know you have to eat, and it's been like more than an hour. So the question I've asked everyone is, what are the top 5 food loves and food hates that you have? So like this could be anything from like just like a vegetable, like one food item, or like something you just cannot stomach, anything like you love and will always love forever.
Right.
Yeah.
Number 1 that I love, pizza.
You're the third person. That's number 1.
I don't care if I'm basic. Pizza.
It's good. There's nothing wrong with that.
What I hate, peas.
Me too.
Like even when I was a kid, I was like, yeah, this sucks. When I was a teenager, this sucks. When I was in my 20s, it sucks. Now I'm in my 30s, still sucks.
Oh man. Oh, you're 30. I haven't even talked to you since you turned 30. I texted you and stuff, but like
Oh, and you sent me a card too.
I did, yeah. Oh, I'm glad you got it. Cool.
Yeah, very, very motherly of you.
Hey, I can't make you guys cakes or anything this year, so you're all getting cards. But okay, so yes, peas though.
Oh,
peas
so speaking of, I don't like cake.
Oh yeah, that's true. What do I make you?
You make me ice cream cake.
That's right. Yeah, I do. I did one year.
Which goes to my favorite, ice cream.
Ice cream, for sure. Yeah. Do you have a favorite flavor, or do you just kind of like whatever? If it's ice cream, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, ladder.
Yes, ladder. Okay, for sure. I'm kind of the same way. I usually don't like caramel. Caramel is kind of where I get really salted caramel's good, but and Ben and Jerry's is good.
Raspberry's not that good.
I like that with cheesecake.
Cherry's not that good to me. I do like cheesecake.
I can understand with fruit. With ice cream though, fruit that's like not what I would go for immediately. But do you have vanilla? Yeah,
vanilla. I need to start paying attention to what type of vanilla that I've been getting. I've been getting a lot of different types of vanilla, but I haven't been looking at it. I've just been being a fat boy with it, inhaling all the ice cream.
What's like 2 for $5? Let's just get those. That's me at the grocery store. What's the more bang for my colon? I would say vanilla is good. I like homemade vanilla, or the New York style. It's kind of that like tannish color, not white. It's like the basic
New York
vanilla.
Style vanilla.
Yeah.
Tell me more. Speak dirty.
It's got like you know what it kind of tastes like? It's the kind of ice cream you would want to have with root beer. It's got that really kind of like it's vanilla, but it's not sugary vanilla. It's like that kind of just sweet enough vanilla, but it has that you taste more of the vanilla flavor than you do sugar throughout it, and it's a little bit thicker. It isn't like fluffy because some ice cream is.
Do you have a brand for it?
Gosh, I would say I don't think there's a national brand that has it. A lot of the local brands make it, like Dean's. Okay. But I know you're in Colorado, so it's probably different out there. But
yeah, I don't know what's out here.
But usually, like homemade vanilla is pretty similar. I like homemade vanilla. That's what I usually go for. But I love vanilla ice cream just on its own too.
Yeah, definitely.
It's so good. And people make fun of me for that.
I don't eat hot dogs anymore, but Chicago style hot dogs used to be up there
On the
for me.
loves?
On the love. Yeah.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I don't like the Chicago dog, but I do like hot
you-
dogs though.
So you like
I wasn't even meaning that to be
comment.
dirty.
I don't know, did you?
You never know with me, do you? You never truly know. One time I called my brother and I literally was like, "Hey, guess what I did?" He's like, "What did you do? Suck some guy's dick?" I was like, "No, I finished a puzzle." It's like, no, why would you think that? Like, and that was, he was literally like, "Oh, usually when you call me, it's inappropriate." I'm like, "Wow, I need to really shape up." Like,
Man, when we lived together, it was every single day you had a joke.
it's bad. Well, you want to know why? I was stuck in a house with 4 straight guys. It's like I have no gays or women to like impart this humor on. So I don't do it as much now, though. I really kind of pulled back after I grew up a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
Did you have a last food hate at all, or anything that you didn't really?
When I said peas, cake.
They're,
Not a big fan of, I guess, spicy Indian food.
okay, sure.
It's just because how my body reacts, not because of the taste itself. You know?
That's fair though, because that can wreck you if you're not careful. Like,
yeah,
that's why I can't eat Thai food. I can't eat Thai food anymore. It just. Oh no, God! It's it's the same with like it's getting that way with wings too. If I eat a lot of wings, I just feel like shit afterwards, and it's like, oh my God, like roll me somewhere, please.
Bring me into the alleyway.
Bring me Alka-Seltzer and an intubator. Like,
you want to see my cat? I know we're doing the audio on podcast, but look at this little guy.
Aww.
Oh, hey there.
What's his name?
His name's Zeppelin.
Zeppelin? I love it.
Meow to the mic.
Meow. Is he all black?
Oh yeah.
I love black cats. I think they're so stylish. Not that they should be an accessory. I just think that they're very like sleek and.
No, he's our little accessory. Yeah, you are, aren't you?
So cute.
Well, hey, I'm really excited about your cookbook, man. I'm really glad that you're pursuing this because you've always been an amazing cook, and I'm glad that you're putting it down into words and you're putting it out there for people to learn.
Yeah,
I hope that I gave some value into this podcast.
Dude,
but
totally,
like I said, I'm a dago who just eats pasta most of the time.
Well, please know that you are like one of my most valued foodie friends because I know that you and I can get down on. You and I like the same kind of foods a lot of the time, and we fucking just rage eat. So. Yes, well, is there anything else you wanted to say or promote? I know. Do you want to promote any music stuff or
no promotion?
Like no promotion.
This is all about you, brother.
Oh, thanks. I want to give people a chance just in case you're like, well, Derek was like, yeah, you can check out Jupiter on Instagram. You can check out. No, I totally gave him the green light. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, man.
What were you gonna say?
What type of music do you listen to when you make food, and does it change on the type of dish?
It kind of depends. If it's a generic, I need to get a lot of cooking done. It's jazz. So jazz is like the automatic, and I like big band. I like Ella Fitzgerald, Louis Armstrong, Dizzy Gillespie, a lot of the like 40s, 50s, 60s jazz. Quincy Jones is great too. I just like it because it's got nice moments of high energy, but also moments of some like deep soothing stuff where if you're just sitting around kind of waiting for stuff to get done, it's noise, but it's also like not annoying. But
so do you mostly stick with jazz, or like maybe if the dish changes, like if you're having an Italian dish, do you maybe play like Frank Sinatra?
You know, I actually
get you in that mood.
I play classical with Italian. That's how my granddad taught me. My granddad would listen to Vivaldi. Now, I don't like Vivaldi. I listen to like Mendelssohn, who isn't Italian. But classical music, for some reason, puts me in the mood of Italian food. I think that's totally from my grandfather because he would listen to only classical when he cooked. But
Yeah.
there's other stuff. There's other times too where I'll listen to audiobooks when I cook or podcasts. I think that's, you know, sorry, my brother called me. I was like, but yeah, no, I think having something in my ear is really important. But I actually tend to not listen to pop music while I cook because
That's fair.
it's too distracting. It's like a lot of noise.
You don't want to listen to lyrics while you're cooking. You kind of want to like listen to your inner dialogue as you're making
chill
food,
hop too. Chill hop is if I'm baking, I listen to chill hop. I think it's because it makes measuring kind of a little less boring. I don't know. Chill hop is always my auto on sound. Like there's chill hop somewhere in my house. Like, you know,
that's
somewhere.
another similarity between you and I.
Yeah,
there's always
for
chill
sure.
hop going on.
Yeah.
For me, with Italian dishes, sometimes I play Frank Sinatra once in a while just to get in that like romantic mood.
Yeah.
But I like playing Spanish flamenco guitar while I make Italian food. It kind of like it has like a groove to it and a bounce to it while I'm making the dish.
I like that. That's
so I actually have a playlist on Spotify. You have Spotify, right?
Yes, I have all of it. Spotify.
I'll just send you the playlist and
do it.
Time. Yeah.
I think that's great. Spanish flamenco. That's the type of music I always kind of associate with like really like restaurants. That's kind of like out here in a restaurant, I feel like. But I love that though, that it does have a nice sort of like soothing groove to it that's not distracting, but it's nice light noise. And I like jazz too because no one argues with it. It's the one genre that no one can really say I don't. I mean, of course someone doesn't like jazz, but no one complains about it because it's just like so many people listen to it. It's nice background music. So that's why when everyone's over, I only play jazz music. Because it's like
I guess I should never notice that.
No one's gonna bitch and moan about the music that's on because they'll all enjoy some part of it. So unless it's Christmas, it's like, all right, Mariah Carey, like, you know. That's true. At Christmas, I listen to Christmas music, like the poppiest Christmas music when I'm doing like Christmas food or like making Christmas cookies or something like that. Soundtracks to like Christmas movies. It's, you know, anything goes at Christmas time.
Yeah, when I think of Christmas or Christmas music, I think of Mariah Carey. Then I think of Wesley. And then
is it because on like November 26th, I like blasted "All I Want for Christmas Is You," and now it's like it's time, guys. Like it's like, that time of year. Like,
fuck my life.
Oh man,
but in the best way.
I'd like to give a big thanks to my friend Nick for being on this show. If you'd like to support this show, don't forget to subscribe and please give the show a rating on your favorite podcast directory. I hope you join me next week for another episode of Good Food for Bad Friends from the Arcadia Podcast Network. If you'd like to get in touch with us, please email us at gfbf@arcadiapodcastnetwork.com.